The 2023 domestic fixtures were released on Wednesday, and the team will begin next season with a trip to Lords. It's obviously still fairly fresh news, but what are your immediate thoughts?
Nice way to start the season. Obviously one of the best grounds in the country. Middlesex newly promoted, so a local derby as well. So I think a tough start, but one to really look forward to kick the season off.
Yeah, and those first 6 rounds of LV Insurance County Championship cricket are particularly crucial in kind of setting up the rest of the Red Bull campaign, and it's a really interesting mix for Essex with those 4 games on the road. One you mentioned there against Middlesex and also against Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge, but then there's 2 quite tough home games in Lancashire and Surrey in that period as well.
Yeah, I mean we say it every year, but Division 1 is tough. 2 sides that came up, Middlesex and Notts, will pose a real threat to everyone. Warwickshire, who were champions the year before last and just survived, will be wanting to obviously improve on their performance. So it's a tough start. I mean, I expected that. I think the way the fixtures have fallen, we have 3 games back to back, a little break and 3 games, 4 games away from home within that. So normally it kind of shapes your season, them first 6 games. So we've got to make sure we always start well, but pick up enough points in that first block before T20. Yeah,
and you mentioned the T20 there. Vitality Blast kicks off in late May this year. It's always a very condensed schedule, and the season is definitely no different. I think in the first 11 days of Essex's campaign, play 7 games, much travelling around in that time as well. I know you've been managing these schedules for a number of years now, but how do you approach periods like that?
You just got to get on with it, really. There's no point complaining. Pretty much every county is in the same boat. It's just really preparation leading into it. So we've got quite a nice lead in terms of 6 or 7 days preparation. I know we have a game against Ireland here in the red ball stuff, so it's just mixing the squad, getting guys ready and prepared. And when you've so many games in a short space of time, it's just rotating the team really and looking after people, because you need them for the full season. So we've done it before, and I think it's one of them situations where they come thick and fast. You can really get some momentum behind you. I think we did that last year. We really got off to a good start and got some good confidence, so we'll be hoping to do that again this year too.
Yeah, and what's slightly different this year is we have to wait 10 days after the tournament gets underway to play our opening game against Gloucestershire here in Chelmsford. Do you think that could be an advantage, kind of seeing how other teams are shaping up during that period? Yeah,
potentially. I mean, previous years we've had 1 or 2 days after a red ball game without any practice, and you can look at that as a disadvantage. So we've got to look as a positive. We've got time there to get a bit of rest after championship, try a few things out. We'll have a few friendly fixtures, no doubt. So hopefully by the time we start against Gloucester, everyone's ready, know the roles, and we can get on a good roll to start with.
Moving on to the One Day Cup, which offers a chance for some variation, both in terms of players on the pitch, but also the opposition, with the groups being decided through a draw. There are a number of games in that chunk in August which catch the eye, including a rare away trip to Leicestershire and that home finale, group stage finale against Surrey as well.
Yeah, a really good draw. I think everyone's used to now the 50 overs the last couple of years. A lot depends on the 100 draft, who's been picked up. Teams we know are going to be missing players. But as always, it gives the squad a chance to really put their hands up. And I think we saw last year, even though we didn't qualify, some of our young players really performing well. So we want to qualify for the latter stages. I think we've got a squad which can cope with the absentees now. We showed that last year, so I'm hoping for us to respond even better this time in the 50 over cup.
Yeah, and you mentioned the squad depth there. In terms of the player squad, albeit August is still a very long way away, academy and second 11 players must go into that first part of the season with the mindset that a good spell of form could earn them a spot in the squad for that One Day Cup competition.
Yeah, and as I say, on the squad depth, we saw last year, not just in 50 overs, but championship towards the end of the season and T20, young players coming in and performing well. Robin Das for us played in T20, Benny Allison, Jamal and Luke Benkenstein doing really well in the 50 overs. So we're not just looking at the young players to come in 50 overs, we want them pushing in the other competitions too. But I think you're right, the young players now can see they're going to get some first team action, so that really does help with their confidence and prep going into the season.
Yeah, and preparation is already well underway for next season. It's probably easier to name the players who are still in Essex than aren't.
Yeah, it's quite nice actually, because we've had the COVID winters where no one could travel, and I think because we've improved in the T20 arena in particular, a few of our guys now are getting franchise gigs around the world. So I think we've only 5 guys at Chelmsford at the moment, but on a serious note, I think it's really important because we want guys playing in the winter, playing in different conditions, different competitions, because that's only going to help them as individuals, but more importantly us as a team. So it'll be really exciting to see how the guys come back and are developing. There'll be a few more competitions after Christmas, so we'll have to wait there and see who's selected. But I think it's a real positive thing that our players are getting picked up in different competitions.
And as the squad begins to reunite in the early parts of next season from all corners of the world, what pre-season plans are in place to get them match ready for that first game in April?
Yeah, I mean, the guys who are not playing franchise cricket, there's quite a number planning to go to Melbourne. We've got the link now with Mick Lewis, our assistant and bowling coach, who's out in Melbourne. So the guys who are not playing will probably head out there ahead of our pre-season trip to Abu Dhabi. So through mid-January, February, the bowlers in particular will be out there bowling, working with him, and I think that gives them a real advantage going into pre-season tour to Abu Dhabi in mid-March, and then once we're back, we're pretty much into the season. So a bit different to previous years, but the guys are going to be playing a lot more cricket than practice, and again, I think that's a huge advantage to us.